What does a franchise left tackle look like? Well, I'm going to get into that a little bit because I think I found one for next year. And that's, I'm sure a lot of you guys have found the same thing. And that's Carter Smith, offensive Indiana, 6'5", 313 pounds. He's a fifth year senior. And that's the thing with a lot of these guys. They're not seniors. They come out as juniors. He's a fifth year senior. Redshirted as a freshman. Played 2 games back up as a freshman. Redshirt from then on out. So he's got experience. And he's got a lot of things to like. And the first real thing I like is that he is a dual sport athlete. He's a volleyball player. Now, I don't know how many of you guys watch volleyball, but the volleyball players, they can jump high, got strong explosion, they got good hand-eye coordination. Well, they got to have good footwork, or else tripping over their feet on a volleyball court. Nope, not good for the reputation with the high school girls when you're that age. Good for a good chuckle, not for getting a date. So you got to have good footwork there. And so, and why I mentioned that first, because that brings in the whole spectrum of what his traits are. Because a lot of it comes from athleticism. And at 315 pounds, around about there, which I think that's probably where he's going to end up by the time the combine comes around, it's around 315, you start to realize what you got. Okay? So when it comes to the actual work, you know, I have to wear a little different shorts here because the 3-point stance, I don't have my football gear from the day. But I was a left tackle, so I know a little bit. I mean, coming back here, well, give me a second. I'm gonna pull this down because right now it's just getting in the way of proper fundamentals, and we don't want that. So, get back here. First off, gotta look at your knee bend. Right foot, because I'm right-handed, slightly in front of the left foot. Knees bent. Put a dinner plate on my back. On my back. And it shouldn't move. See how I'm bringing his hand up? Not moving. Because there's no weight going on that hand. He is excellent. He is excellent in stance. That 3-point stance. Sometimes he has his foot back, his non-dominant foot, his left foot. I believe he's right-handed. He has that left foot back a little bit further than I would like, but he overall has an excellent stance. And he kind of does the stance a lot like I used to do the stance, where he keeps that arm. You saw I had it all the way back there. That's the proper way to have a stance. Well, I wasn't always the proper player, but I was a dancer, so I can kind of understand where his footwork comes in that situation from being a volleyball player. So what he does a lot like I did, he keeps that left hand. Let me get back over here to show you. When further out of the way there, when he's down, he keeps that left hand closer forward. You can still go up, but it's a little bit closer, and it's in line right here. And sometimes we even bring it down around here so it can get up in. Because remember, as an offensive lineman, you're getting down, boom. You're getting up into the chest. You're getting up in. Ideally, you're wanting to get up in under the shoulder pads. And he does that really well a lot of times. Now, he's not perfect at it. Okay, because he's got a lot of athleticism. His hands tend to widen out a little bit. And I don't like that because then when he does that, he tends to get the shoulders. And he's not as effective. But when he gets it up in here, when he can get it down in here, he's got really strong hands. He gets you, he ain't letting you go. He's a lot like Spencer Fano last year in that regard, is really strong grip. When he gets up into you, you're pretty much done. You have to beat him with speed. Because if you try to beat him with power, it's going to be hard because he has a great knee bend and he anchors. And he's got strong hands, so when he gets a hold of you and he gets it in there, you have to beat him to the punch. Get up in, get those hands out by the shoulders, or beat him with speed. And even if he gets those hands out by the shoulders, he might not have leverage, but he can still hold you there. So those are some really big pluses for him. And he also has great durability. He started 41 of 43 games. I mentioned those before, where he redshirted his redshirt freshman year. He played 2 games, didn't start any. And it really showed that he can play through some things because former offensive tackle, I'll tell you, you get nicked up a lot. Get your ankle. There's one time I had a slit in my foot about that big. And every night after practice, Mom would take me over to, we had this huge tub. And she'd take me, she'd put my foot in there. I'm in high school, by the way. She's manhandling me. It's like, Mom's one of them old school women. You get your butt in here, you do it yourself, or else I'm going to put you there. She would take a bottle of rubbing alcohol. Not peroxide. No. We didn't do the peroxide stuff. She'd take rubbing alcohol. Like, you ready? Tough. She'd be dumping that. She'd be dumping that shit on there. She can get it all in there. You see it bubbling and moving up and everything. Now she'd be like, sit there. And she just tell me sit there. Then she'd wrap my foot, get to bed. That'd be after practice. That'd be after a game. It was like, I would tell you how many times I practiced with pulled groins and, pulled triceps and things like that. The only things that really kept me out were the 2 times I blew out my knee and the concussions, and the back issues. Those didn't keep me out. I just used ibuprofen until ibuprofen didn't work anymore. But needless to say, you get hit and you get beat up a lot. So the fact that he can hit 41 starts in 43 games, that's tough. It's toughness, and it's good toughness. Now, I do have questions. He tore his labrum last year. He played through it. And I'm wondering if that led to some of the inconsistencies with his hands a little bit. But he had surgery during the off season. He's recovering. I don't know if he's back on the field yet. So like I looked into it. Indiana's kind of vague. I haven't seen their spring game, so I don't know if he's back out there yet. But that's something you got to look at and how that's going to affect him. But overall, if he's offensive lineman, he's played every game since he was a sophomore, basically. Then I don't have too much of a worry about that. What he does, he is explosive in the run game. He's got quick feet in pass protection, kind of like a dancing bear when it comes to getting around, getting his feet moving, getting where he needs to be, so on and so forth. And that leads to explosion off the ball in the running game. Now, problem with his explosion in the running game, a lot of times, if he gets into space and there's nobody where he's supposed to be blocking, instead of just finding somebody, he just kind of looks around. He needs to get better at identifying bodies that are not his, going and getting them. Don't matter who it is. Just go out and get them. I don't care if it's a linebacker. I don't care if it's a corner. I don't care who it is. Just don't stand there. Just don't have anybody block. Find somebody. There are 11 defenders out there. You can find one. Okay. You're a big dude. You're 6'5". You can see over top of most of those other guys. You can find somebody. Find somebody, lay a hat on them, get it moving. Now, that also leads to one of the things that he does get his hands wide. I already covered that. But his spatial awareness at times leaves much to be desired. There was one play, I think it might have been against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, where it was a swing pass, and he was supposed to get out in space and be one of the leaders to that. He got out, but he didn't get out far enough. And because he didn't get out far enough, his receiver ended up getting tackled by two guys. Two guys which would not have been in position to tackle him if he would have gotten out wider, because he could have pushed one out and then made the other take a bad angle, and his receiver could have gone around. And in that case, they could have gotten a lot of yards. Instead, they ended up losing like 3 or 4. Yet in another, I think this was also against Ohio State, on a stretch run, he pulled onto the outside to open up a lane, and he did exactly what was planned. He got out there, he knocked off that linebacker that was coming from the outside. I forget who it was, and his running back ran right where he came from. And it ended up being a big gain. I forget the exact yards the gain it was, but it was a big gain out of that. Then another thing I tend to have problems with when it comes to him is when he's in his 2-point stance. He gets in his 2-point stance and like, okay, your feet are wider in 2-point stance. Your weak leg tends to be back further. So you're down and you're ready. You're here, you're in your position. And he tends to put his back foot a little bit further back. I get it. It gives you a better knee bend, but that's not as natural. Sometimes I've seen him a couple of times put it out there where it's almost straight. That's not natural. If you're gonna do 2-point, you put your leg back further, almost in a lunge, but you don't put it back so far that you're putting a lot of pressure on that Achilles tendon. You don't want to put it back that far because now you open yourself up, you get rolled up. That causes problems. When you get down, you want to put the pressure on the calf. If you put the pressure on the calf and you've got your quads engaged, now you're up here, you're ready to go, and that's good. What he does, he puts it back a little far, and that puts that pressure on that ankle and that Achilles tendon. Now, it may also be the fact that he's a 6'5" man, and it needs to be back further to get the same effect. I understand that. But at the same time, during the snap, what he does, he keeps that left leg out there and strong enough to compensate for that and not have trouble. A lot of times that's when he gets his hands wide because his base is wider. And as an offensive lineman, your base dictates the rest of your body. If his base is too wide, his hands are going to be wider. Whereas if his base is narrow, he's not going to have to use his arms to keep balance. And that's why they tell you, keep your center of balance. And you can keep your arms in. If you keep your arms in, what happens? You push up against the chest. Because remember, if you angle your arms slightly in, you don't have to do much if you keep this here close together. You just go up and you push, and you're automatically, I'm going to turn this. All you have to do, and that's it. Your hands are already right there. Your hands are already where they need to be. So fundamentals, guys. You have to take in those fundamentals. And those are things he needs to work on. Now, I have a feeling that if he gets his hands, if he gets his feet in a little bit more after that 2-point stance, I have a feeling that the whole he gets his hands out too wide, I think that's going to take care of itself a little bit because I think his hands are going to come back in naturally. You know, so he's going to have that working for him. Like if he has trouble with this, just imagine his girlfriend. Okay, it's like imagine it's your girlfriend across from you. Okay, don't do what my old coach Donnie always said. It's like if you don't hit him, if you sit there and dance with him, it's like you want to dance with him, take him to the prom. This football, you want to hit him. You want to get up in there. You want to make, if you don't hear that thump, you're not hitting them. Get it up there, punch them on their chest. Hey, if you need to, kids don't listen to this, plug your ears. Get your knuckles underneath the shoulder pads. Because remember, that you're still going with this. But on the way up there, if your knuckles happen to graze that undercarriage of the rib cage, well, it'll give you a little bit of an advantage because that hurts. Not illegal, not necessarily good sportsmanship either. Just don't tell anybody I said that. Now, that being said, he is, as I said before, he is coming off the torn leg. There were articles saying that could be a blessing in disguise because it gives the younger guys a chance to play in the spring and gets them used to things, which makes me think he may not be back yet. But we'll be ready for full-on camp. It's like He's not back yet. He's going to have to be back in a week or two to get ready for the season. But if he can keep his level of play high and narrow his feet a little bit, I think that'll take care of his narrowed hands. And if he can do that, keep his play level high, Indiana's got 2 other starters on that offensive line, I think it is, that are coming back. They're going to have a good nucleus. He's not going to have a lot more to get used to. And if that's the case, especially if his left guard is one of them that's coming back, he's not going to have to get used to a lot of new things. And that's going to let him, because something I've said on this channel before when covering the Browns and such, is that offensive line is difficult, but it's 90% communication. If you don't communicate with your guys on the other side, then what are you doing? If you're a left tackle, you don't communicate with your guard on the left. Now you got wide open spaces. But if that communication and that rapport is already established, he'll be able to jump in there like a week, reestablish himself, off and going, off and running. No problem. And that is where Carter Smith will shine. Let's face it, you can tell his physical abilities and his physical transformation. When he came into Indiana, he had a lot of baby fat. Even 2 years ago, he had a lot of baby fat. You look at him last year, he looked like he had a little bit of grown man fat. So this year, he should be completely built into his body. He'll be 23, 24 years old this year. So he should be close to build into his body completely. So you're going to probably be looking by the time camp rolls around or combine rolls around. It's going to be 6'5", 315 pound dancing bear. And he's going to be ready to go. And he should, if he keeps his level of play high and continues to stay healthy, he should be the number 1 offensive tackle off the board. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. I have been your host, Joseph Potter. And this has been your prospect outlook going into the season for Indiana offensive tackle Carter Smith. So, hit that like and subscribe. And remember,